Hello and welcome back or welcome to the channel. I'm Loudguns and in today's video we're going to look at a relatively easy way to farm Janalite, one of the rarest gems in SC and an essential component for building a Wicklow Polaris. Heads up, this is going to involve some light crime, but of the PvE variety. I'm not just going to clickbait you in and then say steal it from other players. So if this sounds good to you, grab a cup of tea while I roll the intro, then let's get into it. Janalite is a super rare hand mineable. I recorded a pretty extensive gem mining guide recently, and despite searching multiple caves where it could technically spawn over the hours that I recorded footage, I didn't come across a single node. But at around 135 to 150k per gem, and as a necessary ingredient for that Wicklow Polaris, it is incredibly valuable. And as my Orgmate Sniping Cat recently discovered, in Klesher it's actually quite plentiful. So we need to get in, farm a bag full, and get out without getting our bags searched. So first up, we need to get ourselves sent to prison. Any crime will do, but I just quickly took a Vaughn mission, committed the necessary homicide, and then I surrendered to the authorities via the legal terminals. Just a quick aside here, don't wear any gear that you're really valuing when you're committing crimes. Currently, when you come out of prison, you'll just be set back to the basic undersuit, and you'll lose anything that you've got on, so just be mindful of that. Now admittedly, the farming stage isn't mining. You'll find Janalite in the bags of your fellow inmates, so it's time to start beating them up a little. Head down into the work mines, and if you're of a mind to avoid racking up too much extra time on your sentence, then head down to the point that the comm array cuts out. On route 1 this is around level 7, whereas on routes 2 and 3 it's more like 8. If you don't care about your crime stat though, you can just start assaulting people immediately. Knock out the NPCs with middle mouse button, then search their backpacks, and not all of the time but regularly you'll find 1 to 5 Janalite. Just make sure to scroll through the pages of the backpack as quite often it's right at the end of the second page. After a little while we've got near enough a full backpack of Janalite. I just like to leave a little bit of room in there for a couple of bottles of water in case I need to wait for a pickup. Now to move on to the escaping stage. If you walk out the front door at the end of your sentence, then all the gems are going to disappear. So we want to avoid that and instead use the prison escape route. This can seem daunting at first and it does take a bit of practice to get good at, but as long as you're patient, it isn't too bad. I would probably suggest you get comfortable with the run before you bother attempting it with all your Janalite on board. To start with, we want to head back into the work mines, but we're just looking for the office that is immediately on the right at the entrance. So if we hold down F and scroll in with the mouse wheel, we can check out this monitor in the office, and that will give us the key code to get through the fan. Then we just run straight back in through the lobby, and we're going to look for this little section underneath the O1. We can jump across to this ledge by the fan, and then we can hammer in that code. Now this code does not always work. It should say success and the fan should shudder to a halt, but sometimes it doesn't. I've personally just been switching servers when that happens. There is a way that you can force your way through the fan just by running at it, but I find that a bit janky. Once you get to this section, we're just going to follow the ledge round to the right, all the way round to find the entrance to the cave. You will make sure your flashlight's on because it's going to be pitch black in here. Mantle up these ledges with spacebar, and then you want to just drop down this shaft. Feels like a very long way down, but Aberdeen's low gravity, you should only take about 1% damage. Then you want to crouch and follow in past these blue plants. Stay crouched to follow this on. There's a room with the roots to the left, but we want to go right and mantle over this bit here. And then we just want to make a U-turn back on ourselves, all the way round, and enter through this door. And at this junction we want to go left, then immediately back round on ourselves to the right. You will climb up this by jumping and holding spacebar. I thought about editing this out to make it look smoother, but actually I want to leave it in, because I want to just show, just don't get frustrated. Some of this can be a bit janky. You will get it, it sometimes helps if you stand a bit further away. Once you get up that though, just follow the pathway straight forward. Get to this tree and we're going to jump over this and land on the ledge on the other side. And then we're going to take the right hand turning. Immediately round to our right is another ledge to jump up. Got this one first time. That blue tree's a marker. Follow round to the left and climb. Very straight on, and the next climb will be on your right. So immediately here, just turn round, look for that ledge behind you and sprint jump across to that. Then there's the lower ledge, there's the higher ledge, sprint jump again. And then we climb, and we climb again. We can get up to our left there, make that climb, and we'll come to a blue tree. We will again take the pathway to the right hand side. Follow this tunnel all the way down. And just follow that round as it bears left slightly. Now this next section is just a long climb. There are a total ledges of 10 ledges, so 1, 2, to the right, 3, 4, left a little number 5, all around to the left, 6, 7, 8, 9, and number 10. Glad I don't have to do that in real life. Follow on to the end of this corridor, and then we can make a jump down there. You don't want to cook this too hard, because you could just bounce back and off. Turn round on yourself, and look down, and you'll see that flat platform there. Sprint jump across that one. Follow this corridor, it will bear slightly to the right, then that ends in a drop. Just be careful, you don't want to overshoot that. Now be very careful on this one. You don't want to add any sprint here, this is just a walking jump. Make sure your mouse wheel is scrolled all the way to the top so your move speed's as fast as it can be, but do not sprint. That left ledge is where we just come from, so we want to sprint jump to the one on the right where we see that little bit of metal. And then we want to look for these blue plants. There's a little ledge there, sprint jump straight into the wall. And look to our left, just a little jump across to that next bit. Then we climb the ledges here, other one up on the right. Some of these you can visually see a lot better than others. Follow the pathway on round, climb again. At the end here, we got another walking jump, so yeah, no sprint on this one. Look for that next metal overhang, that's a sprint jump. Get up to the higher part of this metal, aim for that catwalk, sprint jump that. Then to the left there, we've got another set of ledges to climb up. And on our right, we can continue the ascent. Now we want to look for that metal outcropping with the tree on the right hand side of it. If you aim towards the tree will catch you if you overshoot it to the right, so just a good sprint jump there, and then climb the ledges next to it. We want to take the junction to the right. There's a bit of a jump here, but you can just do this one as a walking jump. Again, you don't want to cook it too hard and bounce back and off. Climb the ledge. And the second one to the right. Got the man with the violet light. Aim to the left of him with a sprint jump. Climb and climb. Follow this round. This metal section is just climbs, so just mantle up this. And then the bit at the end there. That pipe on the floor points back towards the pathway we want to take. Follow this round and we just got a little jump to make across here. On this ledge. And the next one. Now this looks like you should be heading for the metal catwalking, but in fact you want to go for that ledge across from you, so that's just a big sprint jump. Just hold spacebar as you're making these jumps so that if you do fall a bit short, you'll mantle up. Drop down to the right hand side, and follow the path round to the left. We'll aim for that metal outcropping. Jumped a bit early there, but thankfully I was able to just catch the lip of it. Stop there, turn 90 degrees to your right, another sprint jump. Make it across. And now we just want to drop very carefully down off this section. Just be careful, you don't want to end up in the turbine at this point. And mantle over this box. Now I did find with the mines, the best way to do it is to just crawl. Sometimes trip them, but if you do, you seem to take less damage, and then that clears the ones ahead of you. I've managed a lot of times to just crawl straight through that. If you did eat it at this point, you can just shift jump over these ones. Then, the worst case scenario, you just do the run again and you get the gems out of your backpack. Take a note of these codes, which are just on the terminal in this office. These are going to open the Ursa rover garages. Crouch through here. And then this is just a fairly linear path. It turns right and left a bit, but there's only one way you can really go. Now keep in mind that the surface of Aberdeen is very inhospitable and you're only wearing an undersuit. So if you've got a friend coming to pick you up, it might make sense to just wait back here, particularly if they're a good pilot and they can make it all the way into the turbine, the silo. But assuming that you don't, you want to head out into the sunshine. Thankfully it's night, so I'm not going to take too much damage. Watch out at this stage for these gaps in the stairs. There are 2 of them on the staircase. You want to take those as walking jumps, definitely no sprinting in those, because you can just bounce off the railings. There is another one of these just coming up. There are the missing steps. So just, walking jump. After this point, the staircase ends, so we need to climb up on top of this box. Just walk up on top of it. I nearly had a mishap. Mishaps can happen at every stage of this run. Just don't be put off by them. Make a sprint jump up onto here, and just be careful, there are holes that you can just see. So you've got 2 options. You can either jump for the left-hand side, or straight up the pipe. I personally prefer straight up the pipe. I find it a bit more stable and easy to stay on. Make it to the top there. Then we've just got one more jump to make across onto terra firma. There we have it. We're on top of the world. So at this stage, we want to probably go and get one of those Ursas. So you'll see the garages. There are 2 of them. They're these yellow storage boxes. If you punch that in, then you can select open door or open ramp. Now these Ursas should be in here, but currently they're not spawning. They're spawning a bit weird and seem to instead be appearing just outside. So for now that's good, because at least it means we've still got an escape vehicle, and most importantly somewhere with oxygen and to protect us from the heat. But hopefully in the long run they get that fixed. So just be careful. Always make sure I take the codes every time, just in case this is the time that I find out that the Ursa garages are fixed. Now we just want to make good on our escape. So like I said, if you've got a pilot who's confident, then they can land pretty close. They can land even inside the silo and pick you up directly from there. However, it is quite a lot easier if you just put some decent ground between yourself and the facility. I've found it's decidedly safe to get picked up about 9 kilometers away. So just enjoy yourself a nice little janky Ursa rover drive. 9 kilometers might sound like quite a lot, but I've got fond memories of doing the Daymar rally in one of these, so it didn't seem too bad. If you were really committed to the solo life, then it is possible to drive to the Barton Flats Aid Shelter, which is about 10 kilometers away from Klesher. However, that would require you learning exactly the direction that you want to head in. I instead will just be relying on getting a pickup in a slightly non-traditional escape vehicle, but hey, I'm always happy to find new functionality for the Argo Mole. You've really got a few choices at this point. Easily you could just hand off the gems to your non-crime statted orgmate, and then you could head straight back into prison. Or you could head to Grimhex, which as a port will always receive you regardless of your crime stat, and you could deposit your gems into your inventory there. Or you could do what I've started to do, and I've just deposited a 1 SU box at one of the mining outposts, and that's what I use to transfer my gems into, just so that my orgmates don't have to ferry me too far when they come and pick me up from my naughty business. And that means that I can then just head back into prison to continue farming. However you do it though, just make sure to leave your getaway driver a little bit of a tip. You know, you don't want them feeling a bit shortchanged and like they have to go and take that bounty contract that's undoubtedly on your head. Now, this might be a bug, and CIG may just have screwed up the loot pools, but honestly, I kinda hope they haven't, and that this is just the start of a new gold, or in this case Janalite rush. Either way, make hay while the sun shines. The prison escape is a whole lot of fun, and amongst our org we're already building up plans of how to most efficiently smuggle as many of these gems out of Klesher as we can. If you'd like to get involved with any of those shenanigans, do stop by the Discord and say hi, the link's just down in the video description. If you enjoyed the vid and think I've earned it, then I would massively appreciate you hitting the like and subscribing to the channel. It's always cool to share things like this, whether we find with the community. With all that said, I just want to say thank you very much for watching all the way to the end, and I look forward to seeing you next time.